The Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? Making headlines. It is a rite of passage when you have a microphone and you do a sports radio show that the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones could take a bowel movement and we would break it down. We would analyze it. We would decide, does he use the toilet paper? What kind of toilet paper? All that stuff. So it's a rite of passage to talk about the Cowboys, and the Cowboys addressed the assembled media in Indianapolis. If you didn't see this, following yet another suffocation in the postseason, there's a lot of questions about what the F is wrong in Jerry's world, and can it be fixed? So the COO, I love how NFL teams have COOs, the Chief Operating Officer, the Executive Vice President of the football team, Stephen Jones, does not believe that the Cowboys' culture is an issue. He said it. Jerry Spahn explaining that there is no doubt within the organization, as they say in Canada, that they have the right people running the operation. He said, quote, I think overall, organizationally, he said, and between our coaches and our personnel department, I think our leadership on our team is outstanding. Stephen Jones puffed his chest out and bragged. So let us discuss the question. Stephen Jones, the COO of the Cowboys, downplaying the Dallas Cowboys culture issues. Where does that one sit with you? All right, so I've got Hotels.com, Hello Kitty, and Spice Rack. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make the Baba Ganoush. We're going to make the Baba Ganoush. So, number one. All right. I found this story on point. Like, what exactly were you expecting? Not that I believe Stephen Jones is right, because I don't believe he's right at all. I think he's completely wrong. But what are you expecting Stephen Jones to say, right? Well, like, we're a broken franchise. We're a ghost ship out somewhere in the ocean floating with no crew. They're all dead. Like, what exactly did you anticipate that Stephen Jones was going to say? Right? Do you realize who the man's father is? The guy's father owns the Dallas Cowboys. He liked the Cowboys so much, he bought the Dallas Cowboys. So you expect Stephen Jones to come out here and say, oh, yeah, let me tell you something. The head scout and my offensive line coach were wrangling. They were wrestling just a couple days ago, and not a good kind of wrestling. Of course not, right? I mean, these comments were Hotels.com marketing campaign, right? Captain Obvious. Captain Obvious were these comments. The Cowboys, Jerry Jones, masquerades as a football owner and a GM. But my theory is he's actually a magician, that Jerry Jones is the modern-day Houdini. He is. Let me explain why. This guy's an illusionist because he has put together for almost 30 years football teams that give the illusion of being a Super Bowl contender for the better part of 30 years. They'll win 10, 11, 12 games every single season. They'll work your hopes up. You'll get all excited. And then as soon as they get to the playoffs, they get the crap beat out of them, beaten to a pulp by whoever they play, whether it's Green Bay and number 7 seed with the first-time playoff quarterback who outplayed Dak Prescott. The only one they've been able to beat recently is a washed-up Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But as soon as that Cowboy team was able to play a good team, they played the 49ers after that. And that was the famous game where the running back Zeke Elliott snapped the ball on that final desperation trick play at the end. But it's been 28 years. A generation is 20 years. So 28 years is almost a generation and a half. Like, if you can remember the Dallas Cowboys winning the Super Bowl or being in the Super Bowl, you're old. Like, you're officially old at this particular point. And they haven't even reached the NFC title game since that time. And that's the last time they got to the Super Bowl. So that's a long time. So, yeah. But everything's outstanding. The culture's good. Yeah, that's the ticket. That's the ticket right there. That's the winning ticket, unless it's not. All right. Headline, we go down to Seattle where the Seahawks have some decisions to make. They've got some decisions to make, and including John Schneider, the GM there in Seattle. How about Schneider? What a flex. He outlasted Pete Carroll. Take that, Pete. Go mop the floor, Pete. So John Schneider, still the GM in Seattle, he told the assembled media, he was asked about quarterback Geno Smith, my nemesis Geno Smith, and asked about his status as the starter in Seattle. And what did John Schneider say? He said that Geno Smith is the starter until, quote, until he's not. Now, Geno somehow has lasted 5 seasons with the Seahawks. Time just flies when you're having fun or mediocrity. He has started the last 2 years. He's keeping all the receipts. I don't know that he kept that many last season, considering how he played. But nonetheless, Geno Smith, the question on this one, the Seahawks GM saying publicly that Geno Smith will be the starting quarterback until he's not. Can you decode what this one means? Of course I can decode. A microphone. The ability to decode things. So the way this works, this is a subtle, it's kind of as subtle as a 2x4 right to your schnozola. All right, the GM is saying without saying, Geno Smith blows, but we don't have anybody else right now. We hope to get someone else who doesn't suck that we can play at quarterback. That Geno Smith is a backup, that what we've been saying, masquerading as a starting quarterback. The thing about Geno, too, like the whole intention for him was not to be a 3-year starter in the NFL. He was the Hello Kitty Band-Aid. Your kid got a little boo-boo, and you put a Hello Kitty Band-Aid on there, and that was after Russell Wilson left. It was just to kind of cover things up and make you think that things healing there. But we all know that the Band-Aid cannot be left on. It's a temporary solution to a problem, to a long-term problem, and you have to follow the instructions. If you leave the Band-Aid on, the Hello Kitty Band-Aid on for too long, it actually affects supposedly the healing process. Although I think that's just the way to sell more Band-Aids. But they say the wound could become infected and all that. So also known as Pete Carroll ain't walking through that door, not as coach. So he's gone. So Carroll's out of there, and they got some guy named Mike McDonald. We're not sure who that is, but he did talk to Jim Harbaugh at one point, so that's good enough. And John Harbaugh. So he knew both Harbaughs, I believe. So that's good enough to get a head coaching job in the modern NFL. And he inherited this jalopy. He didn't want the jalopy. He inherited the jalopy, and he wants his own quarterback is what he wants. Oh, it's my quarterback. No, that's not my quarterback. I want that quarterback over there. All right, final point. Headline, we go to Kansas City, where the reigning champions of the NFL reside. The Chiefs, story that's been bouncing around here, the Chiefs have informed their star defensive back, L'Jarius Sneed, that they are likely going to franchise tag him, the dreaded franchise tag, which makes you one of the 5 highest paid players on average at your position. And they say, the media that cover the Chiefs, they tell us that the two sides, they can't work out a long-term deal. The dreaded franchise tag is going to come. And if that happens, the Chiefs are open to say bye-bye and trade Sneed. He can be yours if the price is right. So they are agreeable, supposedly. That's the big word, agreeable, under that scenario to say goodbye to the player. So he would be able to negotiate if he wants to play for the Patriots or the Ravens or someone. I'm assuming the Chiefs will trade him to a crappy team because that's the kind of move crappy teams make. They'll say, we'll pay a lot of money to a defensive back, just a random defensive back. He's pretty good, but still not the wisest move. Would it make sense, though, from the Chiefs' perspective, back-to-back and belly-to-belly Super Bowl champs, would it make sense for the Chiefs to franchise tag the defensive back, L'Jarius Sneed, and then trade him? So on this one, I'm going to go yes on this. I mean, the Chiefs GM, this guy Brett Leach or Veach, I guess his name, the GM there in Kansas City, he's really working as the ringmaster here. And what I mean by he's the ringmaster under the big top, and it's the Arrowhead Circus. at beautiful Arrowhead Stadium. They got a little circus there under the big top there. Come on down. There you go. See the human cannonball right there. And he, of course, is walking on the wire, but the wire is on fire, the high wire. They don't really have circuses. They like humans jumping around. They can't have animals, The people get all freaked out by that these days, I guess. So no safety net. No safety net. And what's the old line? You can't keep everyone. Plus, the other thing about this, I've talked about this. Phil Jackson used to talk about when you win a lot, you still got to change the roster. You can't bring the same core guys back. You got to change some of the core. It gets stale and all that stuff. But L'Jarius Sneed, who was a good ball player in Kansas City, the numbers, the eyeball test, the stats tell you he was a good player and one of the top players at his position. But it's like a spice rack, right? And he's on the spice rack, and it's like, hey, that's a pretty good spice. It's like I've been dabbling with cooking. It's like paprika, right? It's a good spice paprika, which is just bell pepper, which is in that form. So it's you like paprika, but you can substitute that and you can get some cayenne pepper, and maybe even better. Could be better, right? So that's what you got to do here. The spices. It's like you're the artisan in the kitchen, and as long as you have the main course is the guy that doesn't like tipping, and that's Patrick Mahomes. Although this guy, Moses from Cleveland, said that's an erroneous report. At least he tips the guys in the casino. But other people saying, no, he doesn't tip the bellhop and the people that are getting his car at the valet and things like that. But whatever the case. So Mahomes is there. He's the main event. And then you add the different spices around Mahomes, and it's the artisan, it's the culinary creation, the final product, and you can transform a roster. The Chiefs did not have good wide receivers, but they still had the right level of spice, and they ended up winning the Super Bowl.